Hey guys, Chad here, coming back to you from the workbench, and what we're going to do is walk you through how to set up the Wi-Fi extender and your antennas for the FC40, and we're going to go out into the field and see what kind of results we can get with this. Typically, just using the iPhone and the app and the camera, we're getting around 250 to 300 feet, which isn't too bad because that's line of sight for the most part. You can still lose your orientation and get in a lot of problems, but that's why they have the home lock and the IOC switch, which I hope you've enabled those. So let's take a look again at what we're dealing with. We have the Amped Wireless N600 milliwatt wireless extender. We got rid of all the factory antennas. We added an 8 dBi antenna on one side, which I have the links to in my other YouTube video. And on the other side, we are using this Hawking 14 dBi high gain directional antenna. Now, the important thing to remember about this is purely directional. Only a 30-degree horizontal and vertical spread. But from what people say online, this is what actually gives you your distance, not the omnidirectional. The omnidirectional will give you Wi-Fi in your bubble, and you're in the center of that bubble. That is what is going to allow you to go out there. But 30%, you know, we're not talking 180 degrees, we're talking 30 degrees. That way and that way. So you basically have like a cone going out there. So I'm going to reset everything up and show you how to configure the router. It's going to be kind of hard with the webcam and stuff like that. I'm no professional at this, maybe one of these days, but this shouldn't be too hard to demonstrate how to do, as long as we can work through the camera work. So we'll be right back. Guys, here we are. Going to try to walk you through how to set up this Wi-Fi extender. So the first thing you do is plug into it with Ethernet wire, and what you're going to be doing is actually logging into the extender so that way you can change its name and everything. So you disconnect from all your Wi-Fi, you turn on the FC40 camera, and you open a web browser on the computer, setup.ampedwireless.com, and that's going to bring you to this home screen here. The next thing you're going to do is click on the scan button, and what it's going to do is it is going to reach out and look for all of your networks. And of course it's going to say the web page is not available here because nothing is cooperating. It's not a foolproof process, I'll tell you that much. Alright, now when you scan, what you're going to see is right there, you're going to see the name of the camera, FC40- whatever, that's your MAC address. You're going to go over and select that right there and click on Next. Then what you're going to do is click on Clone Settings, and it is going to copy that name of your camera to right there. So then what I did is just go ahead and erase everything, and I made that just say the word FC40 extender. So make sure you keep that underscore. Then all you do is just click Next. I've already got mine programmed, It'll go through, it'll name that your SSID, and then you will be all done.
Alright guys, now we're going to connect to the app, which sometimes works easily and sometimes don't. So the first thing we're going to do here with the iPad or the iPhone is we're going to go over to our settings tab, turn Wi-Fi on or off and back on, however you have it set up, and you'll see the list of SSIDs pop up, and you are going to click on the FC40 extender, not the FC40 camera. Double check and make sure that's all done. Now go on over, open up the DJI app, and you should see FC40 underscore extender. If not, hit refresh and it should pop up. If the camera's popping up, turn the camera off, turn it back on, and start all over again. Now I always find the app works best when the camera goes to a solid green light, so it's obviously finishing its boot up process. So once the light goes steady green instead of flashing, then we'll be able to try to connect to the camera via the extender. So everything's ready now. So what we're going to do is just click extender, cross our fingers, and of course nothing's working this time. And in this case the app crashed, which it happens occasionally. So no big deal. Close it. Go back to the settings. Make sure you're still connected to the extender, which we are in this case. So just relaunch the app and try again. This time it worked great. We're now connected to the camera via the extender. As you can see, we're maneuvering around the workshop here, / computer office, lab, art studio, model shop, and everything else. And I like to just multitask and tab back over and make sure that it stays connected to the extender and it doesn't automatically switch over to the camera, because that'll happen sometimes too. So that's it. Next time you see this, we will be out in the field testing. So we'll see you out there here in a second. Alright, so it was a real sunny day, and as you know, it's impossible to see an iPhone or an iPad out in the sun. So this was the second test that I ran, and what I decided to do was clip the webcam onto my LCD screen sunshade so that you could actually see the distance. Now this is the view coming through my FPV LCD screen, not the view that's coming from the camera. So this is coming from my Mobius. The video goes in and out a little bit. I've been tweaking out some antenna issues that I'm having with my FPV and working on a diversity setup and everything like that. But over there on the right, where you see it's kind of blurry in the sunshine, you will see the numbers start to pop up here. So we're at like 40, we're in meters actually right now. All of the tests were conducted at a height of about 30 to 50 meters as well, just to let you know. So I had a constant eye on the iPad with my helper, and I was only doing about 15 miles an hour, so the video was still looking good. on the iPad. It's pretty much either there or it's not with the Wi-Fi. You get a little bit of waviness and such. Nothing like you'll see my FPV video doing on this day. So here we go, 400. The first test crapped out at about 420 meters, which would have been right now. And we were still connected. And when you see me go into a hover right there at 500 meters, that is where the second test stopped. So 500 meters and we lost connection. First test was 420 meters. Be right back. Okay, so this is the view from the FC40. Obviously, it's going to look a lot better than what you just saw. It's going to be really pointing down quite a bit just because I have my Mobius for my FPV kind of a little bit more horizontally. But this will just give you a good glimpse of a clear video as far as the distance that I actually covered. Alright, so all of the tests have been ran and all the data has been collected. So what have we learned? Well, if we go with what the box says, and pretty much what all of us have found, with an iPad, an iPhone, something like that, we're getting around 300 feet, which is about 91 meters, which is 5/10 of a mile. On my longest trek, I went 560 meters, which is 1,837 feet, which is 0.34 miles. My shortest was 400 meters, which was 1,312 feet, and that was a quarter mile. In case I read those second numbers wrong, I'll repeat those. 560 meters equals 1,837 feet equals 0.34 miles. So anyway, it's all irrelevant. Because when you get to 300 meters, 400 meters, or however many feet, you just lose connection. And unless you're a super pilot or you have super eyes and a spotter with maybe a 20 or 30 times spotter scope, you just don't know where you're at. And if you don't have IOC enabled, where you can flip down the home lock switch and just pull back on the stick and bring that bird home, you're just out of luck. So, based off of my data, 400 meters, 1,300 feet at a quarter mile, that would be about the safest that I would push it. If you're looking to do FPV, you can go further. Everybody's conditions are going to be different, but this was based off of 4 runs, the exact same flight path, all at about the same height, using the same equipment, and those are the results. So my recommendation is, flyer pilot beware, because when you get out there, there's no coming back, especially if you're one of those guys that's scared to load into the NASA software and start changing some switch settings on your transmitter, which everybody should. It's easy, it's not hard, and it can save your butt for sure. So do that. That's the best takeaway from this. If you want to try to use the extender, you know, you can get out to that distance there for under $200. You can even cheaper than that. You know, that's using the, you know, one of the best antennas that you can get, one of the best extenders that you can get, and a 3S LiPo chopped off and hooked up to soldered into the bullet connector to power the extender. And you know, you just set that stuff up on a little table and point the directional in the way that you're going to be flying the most within that 30-degree cone, and that's about it. So you know, I hope you guys have learned something from this. I know I have. You know, I'm definitely going to, you know, keep a hold of this stuff and use it as a backup, just because eventually I'm going to get a different quad and I'll move my FPV gear over to it. You know, I'm sure some of it probably will be old and expired by then, and there'll be way better stuff out, but my FPV stuff works great. I'm going out to 500, you know, you saw me going out to 500 meters and I was having some antenna problems. Well, since I've corrected those, I was out to about 800-900 meters a couple nights ago. So the other thing that I've done is I've also modded my transmitter. So I've put a higher gain, longer antenna on the transmitter as well. You know, just because those transmitter settings say that it's going to go 2,000 meters each way doesn't mean that it's going to go that far, especially running at 5.8 gigahertz. You know, there'll be a lot of people that will agree or disagree, but from what I've tested, just my flying tonight, flying up over some woods down into a field, you know, I was getting some transmitter cutouts even with my higher gain stuff, and I was out about 400 meters, but it was just having problems penetrating through a couple 200-300 yards of woods in a building, and there were some power lines around and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a lot of testing that you just got to do, especially, you know, where you're going to be. Try to do your testing in the harshest environment, so that way when you know that you get out into the field, that you can pretty much depend on your gear. So that's going to be it for this video. Thanks a lot, everybody, for checking them all out. Like, subscribe. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments below. Hit me up on the Phantom DJ40 Facebook group or whatever. So until then, we'll see you later.